off the music to bring you a news bulletin concerning the fiery object that was reported to have crashed in the hills east of town an hour ago.
There wasn't even enough left of her face to identify. A bull gator leaves tracks something like this.
A gator walking on his hind legs?
Well, I'm not going to let the fuzz tell me what to do. I'm going to wait till it's dark and go out there again. You with me?
Yeah, groovy.
But I think we should invite everybody.
Yeah, the more people, the crazier the blast.
What are you talking about?
The beach party. Rex and Darlene and some of the others just left. Said they were going to the lake.
Welcome back to the Drive-In Asylum double feature. And with me on this evening's program is Bradley Steele Harding. And we just got done watching Keep My Grave Open, one of our faves.
So, what did everybody think? Watching it again, I don't know. The ending doesn't work for me.
Okay, let's talk through it then.
Well, no, hold on. There's a great shot that is that should have been the ending. You know, when Leslie is out on the porch and she's bleeding out, and up above her, you can see the shadow of someone. It's her brother, probably her brother, right? So, you know,
yeah,
that's the end. You know, her brother being a literal person. I don't know. That doesn't really work. You know, even for a twist ending, that's kind of, I don't know.
Well, it takes away the ambiguity, definitely, because it looks like the brother would have had to have been real, because otherwise, I mean, she was already dead. So, you know.
No, he was quite literally a real person, which, you know, makes her whole story, her arc, pretty pathetic. You know, if he's actually alive and.
Well, yeah, I think the implication is that she was
alive. You know, I mean.
She was
that doesn't work, but in the film, and she really carries it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I kept thinking that the whole time I was watching this. That this is an actor's movie, and it really is her movie. Even though there were plenty of other, you know, familiar faces in it. Gene Ross was in it. Obviously not. I think his role could have been a little juicier, but whatever. Jesse Lee Fulton.
Someone mentioned Bonnie Franklin. That's funny. Bonnie Franklin.
This is it. But Gene Ross was in it, and also Bill Thurman, who's in our second feature, Night Fright. I had it right the first time. Bill Thurman's in that movie too. In this movie, he was a hobo that gets dispatched early on.
Okay.
Kevin's vicious army sword.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I knew I liked that guy for a reason.
I'm just reading the comments.
Oh, hi everybody in chat. Thanks for coming back with us on the second segment here. And remember to click like, and either definitely click like, but if you really like us, share. We appreciate it. I see lots of familiar faces. I see David. This is the romper room moment. Matthew, Fred's there. Hey, Graham McKay, Paul Dolliner. Let us know. Like Jeff said, he loved it. Let's see who else loved it. Hmm.
Yeah,
Mike
he was great.
Justice, what did you think of this movie? Do not operate heavy machinery after viewing Keep My Grave Open. So that's, I think that speaks for itself.
Let's see.
And this is the
was
reason
great.
you're always 10 minutes ahead of me in the movie, Jeff, is because you're watching it at a different speed.
By percussion.
So, what about the comparison to Repulsion? Do you think that that's fair?
Sure. I mean, yeah. Maybe not stylistically, really, but I mean, yeah. I mean, just an overview. If you were just to, describe the two movies, sure. It's a woman slowly going insane.
How about the shades of The Graduate when she's putting on that extended makeup scene? Can we just talk about that for a minute?
You are really obsessed with that.
I am. I'm just like, it goes on and on. It's and she's emoting while she's making up her face. She looks obviously pretty plain in the film up until that point, and then she has completely transformed herself before our very eyes. It's bewitching. And also,
it really feels like she had a lot of leeway with that character, sort of creating the character. And I don't know, some of it felt like, actor business, I'll do this, and I don't know. Some of it felt very actorly, like, I'll, try this on. And again, what a great opportunity for her to have that, and I thought she was fascinating to watch, even if I feel perhaps the screenplay let her down at the end, or I don't know what they were thinking about bringing that character back, and I don't want to go on and on about the ending, but that's a head scratcher for me, that ending.
It was a little unnecessary. It would have, less is more, and it would have been better if we hadn't ever really known. Because if she looked up and saw him on the balcony, that could go either way. She could have just hallucinated that, or there could be somebody there. So that would be an interesting way to end the movie.
What was great is that she didn't look up and see him. She just felt his presence, and it's a visual. He was behind her, sort of, the camera's in front of her, and you can see it was sort of at an angle, and it was a great shot, should have been the ending,
but it was not to be.
Directing the film, so no.
I do think that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I agree. The music's great. There's some great cues in that film. Really interesting sounds.
Oh, definitely. That's one of, and there's a couple different things in the movie that are stylistically very different. There's that song that's on in the bordello, presided over by Annabelle Wienick, of course. Dr. Masters. There was that, and then there was the guitar, the ominous guitar.
David Beckwith is not as enchanted with her performance as I am. He's a Z-grade Meryl Streep.
Z-grade Meryl Streep.
Okay.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Isn't everyone Z-grade compared to Meryl Streep?
I don't know. With what she had to work with and the conditions that, I don't know. I think that it's an interesting performance. It's very brave, and I'm sure she was working with nothing really. And Stephen Tobolowsky is great in it. Their scenes together are really weird and intentionally so. Awkward, and I think their scenes work really well together. There's tension between them, and they're real characters, as opposed to her stuff with the psychiatrist, which is odd, silly.
Gene Ross.
Yes.
How can you say anything bad about Gene Ross?
Well, the character is written. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
His was distracting. But other than that, he's great.
He's very theatrical and melodramatic. I like that though. And also Robert Dracup. We were talking about Robert Dracup and the connection between this film and one of the connections between this film and Don't Look in the Basement is that the telephone man from Don't Look in the Basement, Robert Dracup, worked on this film.
Right, he's the gaffer in the film we just watched, and he's also the gaffer in the next movie. So he got a lot of work with these independent films.
Now look, I'm just the telephone man. And there were some interesting connections between this film and Horror High.
Right. They shared the same cinematographer, and actually that's the only credit that he had. Those are the only two credits that he has. John Fultonbergs. Don't know.
And also the director of Horror High, Larry Stouffer, was AD on this film. And
very incestuous.
Yeah. It definitely has a Horror High feel to it. So again, this was like a troupe.
I haven't seen Horror High in a while.
Oh, absolutely. So this definitely was a troupe of actors, performers, technicians, and they were all working together to make these kind of films. They are very similar in tone by default.
Mm-hmm.
But I love it. I wish there were 100 more films for me to discover like this one.
Yeah, it definitely has a mood. His films certainly elicit a mood. Yeah.
Graham went right for it.
It was weird seeing him with hair. I think that was his first movie. It's his first IMDb credit anyway. You can trust IMDb.
You had to start somewhere. He might as well be being slaughtered with an army sword by Camilla Carr. So, anything else you want to say about it before we move on to our second feature?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't want to talk about the ending anymore, and I think we're done with that. But it was fun to watch. It was fun to watch with everybody again, and I think it holds up. As a drive-in, maybe a lesser drive-in title, but I think it's very interesting visually. It's more interesting than Basement, I think. So.
Yeah, there's less action, but there's more beneath the surface than there is in Don't Look in the Basement. And see, he didn't mean that as a slam. Probably just that those are the kinds of movies that we see her in, or Z-grade movies.
Oh, okay. All right. I get that.
So our second feature tonight, Night Fright. And this was your choice, Bradley. So what made you choose this movie?
Well, it's another Texas film, and I just discovered it a couple of years ago. I was surprised to find out that lots of people had seen it. You mentioned that it was on, those budget DVD compilations, and I'd never seen it before. I had stumbled across it, I think, on Amazon. When I started watching it, 5 minutes in, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have never seen this movie before, and yet I know exactly what this movie is. This is an AIP television movie, even if it isn't.
Yeah.
And then I recognized Annabelle Wienick again and Robert Dracup in the credits. I didn't recognize any of the actors, but aside from John Agar. But the moment the movie started, I mean, it's very charming. It's you can tell that it was shot in Texas using local actors. Everyone has a Texas accent, and to differentiate this film from those AIP movies, the performances in this movie are actually really good. The leads are charming. John Agar's good. I mean, as far as this kind of thing goes, It's very well acted. Not that the characters are given a whole lot to do, but I was engaged by the performances. I actually thought that they weren't bad, or stilted like, the Larry Buchanan.
It's not quite the level of Larry Buchanan acting.
It's not. It's a different thing.
But the actors
looks just like his films, but
the actors are supposed to be teenagers, most of them, but they're all in their early 30s.
30s.
It's one of those kinds of movies.
Right.
And it's also one of those movies that was obviously shot during the daytime because they probably didn't have any lights, but it's supposed to be nighttime. So there's a lot of day for night in this. And again, there really is no nice looking print of this, at least none online. I don't think anybody ever cleaned up Night Fright and put it out there. But it's a little dark, and that might be a good thing. And that's all I'm going to say about the monster in this movie. I love the artwork. You called out the artwork earlier because it promises something the movie can't deliver, right? Right.
Well, it was the artwork that you chose. I mean, was that used to sell the film? I mean,
yeah. It was the cover of one of the VHS releases.
Well, have you been able to find actual newspaper ads?
No, this movie did.
It really feels like it was made for television. It really feels like it's part of that AIP package, but I don't think that it was. So I'm curious about a theatrical release.
There was no theatrical release, and I looked really hard. There is a release date listed on IMDb, and it's not actually noted as a TV movie. Although I think it did go directly to TV. I don't think anybody had the guts to put this movie out because it's basically what you're about to witness is it's basically an Invasion of the Saucermen and the Eye Creatures, which were both the same story. This is like that same story with a teeny tiny little twist, and most of it involves the monster. But we're in Monster Terrorizing Lover's Lane territory tonight on the second movie. I did have one thing to show. I found an ad somewhere. While I look for it, maybe you can say something else about Night Fright.
Well, another interesting aspect of this movie is that it was shot in Dallas, I'm pretty sure, and it looks like it was shot in my backyard at White Rock Lake.
Yeah.
One of the buildings, the Sorority House, looks like this building located at White Rock Lake. And I don't know what they use it for now, but it's still standing there. So it's just kind of cool to, sort of be familiar with where they are, because it really does remind me of the lake. Although the architecture and a lot of the flora and fauna have changed, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it. They find those locations, and it'll be something that's outdoors, and how do you identify those things? It's almost it's definitely an adventure to do something like that, I'm sure. And
again, the director was the editor of Manos, The Hands of Fate, which I think is very interesting. He did very little after this film. So after
Night
this
Fright
promising
chased him.
debut,
it chased him right out of the film business. Well, I don't actually have that piece that I found. It was just a little note about, I think, John Agar appearing in it. But here's the image that I was telling you about. It's a DVD release. Never mind.
Okay.
It's just made to look like an old VHS tape.
Well, that's cool. I mean, that is the monster.
Is it?
That's a fair representation of the monster. I don't think it's, typical, horror art that does not represent the monster. The monster is slow, yes.
Very slow.
Monster
and clunky.
is sort of a cameo role in this movie.
Yeah, so that's the monster we're working with tonight, and believe me, it does not look this good in the movie, and you will not get this good of a look at it. So don't even get your hopes up. This is sort of, it's not quite the level of creeping terror. You know, when they show the monster in this, it reminds me of when the monster from Bog, of all things. It's that same guy in a suit lumbering around in the woods vibe.
Yeah, I don't know. Bog is very distinctive. But
But
yeah,
it's
I mean, just on that level of a guy in a suit, sure.
Yeah, but it's very dimly glimpsed too.
Yeah.
You don't really see it all that well. So same here with Night Fright. Not to be confused with Fright Night. So let's do another cocktail. I think it is that time. Now, the second one this evening is going to be a lot like the first one because it's basically going to be the same drink. So this time I'm going to make a melon ball, because I have all the stuff for that. So to make that, or you can make the drink that Sam set up tonight, which was the drink I made on the first segment, an alcoholic Shirley Temple. My little studio is just falling apart here. Okay, there. So what you do is you get out your vodka, pour as much of it in there as you want. But if you want to measure it perfectly, just do an ounce, okay? Then you add some Midori. Just about the same amount, but you know, you can be creative. And finally, either some orange juice or pineapple juice. Tonight, I have orange juice. So whatever. Pour all that in your shaker. And then get ready for the bar rescue moment. And voila. That is your melon ball. And at least, if it's not a melon ball, it's the drink you get. So this one we'll drink to, what should we drink to, Bradley?
Let's drink to cinematographer Robert Jessup.
Robert Dracup. Or is it Jessup?
Robert Jessup was the cinematographer for this film.
Oh.
Cheers, well, Robert Jessup.
We love your day for night.
He did all of the AIP, Larry Buchanan films. He did, well, the three of them anyway: Mars Needs Women, Creature of Destruction, and in the year of 2889. But most importantly, this cinematographer would go on to shoot Sugar Hill, one of my favorite drive-in movies from 1974 with Marky Bay.
I love it.
Love Sugar Hill. And he did a whole lot more than that. I mean, he was a working cinematographer, but that appealed to me. That stuck out. He did a lot of television, and he also did Race with the Devil and Deadly Blessing in '81, the Wes Craven movie. But cinematographer of Sugar Hill, so you got to start somewhere.
It doesn't have anything to do with Night Fright, Jeffrey. It's just I had to make the drink with what I had in my bar. So I had to wing it. And Sam's not here anyway, okay? There is one thing I want to talk about before we go to the movie, Night Fright. This is the shirt for the upcoming April Ghouls Drive-In Monsterama. One of the movies they're showing is going to be Midnight. This, of course, is the Midnight Ghoul.
Cool.
And this shirt, designed by me, by the way, is now available for sale on the go to the Drive-In Super Monsterama page. Drive-In Monsterama. Well, if you type in probably any of those words together, you're going to get the page. That's where you can purchase the shirt. You can arrange to have it picked up at the event if you're going, or you can pay for shipping. I think it's $7 shipping, and they'll send you one. And you can tell all your friends you were there, even if you weren't. So the 4 movies, or the 8 movies rather, this year are going to be a real scream. Friday night, I'm looking for the image as we speak, but Friday night is going to be Halloween 2, Terror Train, Midnight, and Effects, which I am dying to see it on the big screen. And here we go. I think this is it. Yes. So here is the lineup of the event. Saturday night, we've got Evil Dead 2, Reanimator,
Awesome.
Dr. Butcher MD, and Zombie 3. Are you a big Reanimator fan?
Oh, I love Reanimator. Yeah. And I would love to see Terror Train on the drive-in screen. That would be awesome.
I know. I can't wait for that one. I really like that movie a lot.
Oh, Terror Train. That's a gorgeous film.
Do you think, okay, here's a question for you, Bradley Steele Harding. Do you think that's Jamie Lee Curtis's best post-Halloween slasher, or is there another choice for you?
That's an interesting question.
I thought you'd have an opinion ready for
her best film or her best character?
The best slasher that she made after
film.
Halloween.
Yeah, it's her best one. It's her best one. Yeah, I mean, Prom Night. That's, yeah.
It's better than Prom Night?
Absolutely. And I love
agree.
Prom Night. But yeah, of course, as far as just, film. Yeah, cinema. Terror Train's a beautiful looking movie, and it's scary. Terror Train's a scary slasher film, and that's unusual. I mean, those slasher movies, as entertaining as they weren't necessarily scary. It was like, here are all these things that you want.
Yeah.
We're going to give you A, B, C, and D. And they weren't really thinking about, telling a suspenseful, horror, film.
I love Terror Train because it has a really interesting villain in it. The killer is very interesting.
John Alcott. Yeah.
I think it's
I love Terror Train.
It's sort of like one of those roles when there's a killer in a slasher movie and it's the early 80s. You're prepared to not know very much about what's going on with the killer. Like, why? It's just like, that's all you need to know is that there's a killer. But in this movie, it sort of works because everybody in the movie is really kind of badly behaved. Even Jamie Lee Curtis, like, her character is a bad girl in Terror Train, and it makes it interesting when you kind of have some sympathy for the killer and for what they did to him, and how bad that was and how it messed him up. Like, for him to want to come back and get revenge, and like, it's almost relatable. So I like that about it.
I don't know if she's a bad girl. She's complicated. She's far more Elena is her name. Far more complicated than even Laurie Strode, But I could go on about Jamie and Terror Train. And Road Games, I don't think is a slasher movie, and I like Road Games. She's just not in that much. She's maybe in it for 20 minutes, and she's good in it.
Yeah, I like Road Games. But yeah, it's not better than
talkback.
Even if you considered it a slasher movie.
And I love The Fog. I don't like her character in The Fog much.
I like her in The Fog.
I love her in The Fog. I don't think her character is very well written. She even said as much. She made them, beef up the character a bit. I think they made her an artist or something, at her urging. It's like, give me something, so they gave her this little portfolio to, I don't know.
Tom Atkins thought she was pretty good.
Well, okay. There you go. It says a lot that during the reshoots, it was all her stuff. AFCO Embassy they wanted more of her, because by that point, Halloween was such a big hit. And so most of the reshoot stuff and some of the stuff that they did doesn't even make sense. That scene in the hospital with the dead guy getting up,
I know.
Like, well, what is that? I mean, is he a ghost? No, I don't know.
What was that? And they even all seem to acknowledge that it happened. So where were they coming from with this? What were we supposed to think about?
Right. Was that a little bit of supernatural dust, left in this waterlogged body? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, but okay. It's a scare. But Terror Train's a great movie. So I think we can all agree on that.
In the lower left corner, you'll see the new issue of Drive-In Asylum. And you can go to our Etsy shop. I'm trying to do this as we speak. There we go. So that's the web address for our Etsy shop. You can go purchase the brand new issue. Well, not
cool.
brand new, but it was just out earlier this month, of Drive-In Asylum, featuring Pat Carty and Christine DeBelle.
I love her. Love Christine DeBelle.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. And it was really exciting to be able to feature her in the magazine. A big thank you to Bill Green for bringing that interview. And also thank you to Christine for doing it. And a huge thanks also to Pat Carty, who was so cool. He even came on the show, and we did a Horror High episode. I hope you caught some of that. It's really good. It's edited together on YouTube right now. So you can just go watch the Pat Carty parts. And I made sure to cut out all the dead space with me not hosting well enough. But anyway, go pick up our new issue. It's not hot off the press, but it's still definitely warm. And so there you go. Now, Night Fright. Should we go on?
Back to that. Okay.
Are we ready to go, or should we say something else about Night Fright? I don't think there's anything else to say about it.
What I made notes, but I think the last note I made was about the cinema. Just so high on Sugar Hill. Have we done Sugar Hill on this show?
We never did Sugar Hill.
You just do it. Night of Sugar Hill. Just watch it twice. Talk about it all night.
I love Sugar Hill. The first time I saw that was at the Drive-In Monsterama.
Oh wow!
And it was the only. I mean, I hadn't ever seen it before, so I got to see it for the first time at the Drive-In, and it was 2013. So that was a really exciting experience, and I do love it.
Love Marquis Bay, and it's such a visually interesting, film, and the theme song, it's awesome.
Marquis Bay is so cute in that movie.
She has such charisma, and she didn't do a whole lot, which is sad. She was in The Landlord, an very eccentric comedy, and
she did some TV.
Yeah,
wasn't she on Sanford and Son?
She could have been.
I'm thinking of Carol Speed. Sorry, Carol Speed was going to marry Lionel.
Was she? I just saw Carol Speed in Disco Godfather.
Lamont.
Disco
Godfather. Oh my God.
Yeah, she was in Disco Godfather.
I love that movie.
Yes, to Sugar Hill. So see, there are other people familiar with Sugar Hill and Sugar Bill. Okay.
Hey, there's Becca. Hey, Becca. I hope you and Sam are watching. God, too bad you don't have a webcam there. You guys could come on the remote. Okay, so Night Fright.
Put your weight on it. I love this. I love the people who love Drive-In Asylum because they all know what I'm talking about. They know it. Disco Godfather. Put your weight on it. That makes me so happy. Okay. Night Fright. So
Night Fright. It's a very cheap looking, underlit monster movie roaming around in the woods, and I have a feeling that you're really gonna like it. And it's not gonna take up much of your time.
It's still early, and the movie's short, so
Yeah.
you're
So
likely
it won't
to be
be a
awake
late night.
for the next segment.
Possibly, if this movie doesn't put you to sleep. We'll see you back on the Drive-In Asylum double feature.